Yeah, 100%. What is it now? Like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm gonna blame. Good morning. Sorry, we're 1 minute late. I blame the clocks going forward. I'm pretty sure it just skipped from 29 to 31 without my permission.
By the way, I saw this meme on Instagram the other day, and it was like somebody behind the till like cheering, and it was like when you're working a night shift and the clocks go forward 1 hour and you just like lose an hour's work straight away and be blessed. It's so good.
I mean, I've never. Have you experienced that? Is that why you can?
Yeah, jokes. I used to do 11 in the evening till 7 in the morning on like basically. So,
I mean, you also for the people that sleep before 1 o'clock, you also lose an hour's sleep, which is sad.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, I called Tasha lazy yesterday when I was at the car boot at 6:30. She was like, "Mate, it's 5:30 and I'm still awake," but she didn't get up to go to the car boot with me. So, terrible. Yeah.
Chuggle's looking forward to the 24-hour podcast.
Let's
go!
Should we just do it right now?
Do that. Should we do
just back everything off and do it now?
What the hell? What would we even talk about for 24 hours?
I'm telling you now, we could not organize anything. We could just say right now we're going to do 24 hours, and I reckon we could talk for 24 hours.
Do you think? I don't think it. For talking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
But we'd have to do activities. I don't think we could chat.
No, we could talk because all you'd have to do is get like if you had enough people in the chat that were just like throwing up at like questions, suggestions, topics, like you could keep that going for so long. I reckon.
Just literally, just whatever comes up, just any philosophical life question.
See,
all right.
There as well. Everyone is. We can talk for 24 hours.
Do we? Yeah, is it that obvious that we talk that much? I'd also just like no one. I don't know if this applies to anyone that can see it. It doesn't actually. I don't think there's a logo anywhere. But they've changed the StreamYard logo, and I'm very sad about it because
anybody else can see it. By the way,
I know. I'm just going to tell everyone there used to be a much cooler duck with multicolors as their logo. Now it's just a blue duck with headphones that has an S on it, and it kind of looks like Skype. And I don't like it realistically.
Not a fan.
My seat feels so low.
See, Andy knows you so well. Benchy could literally talk to himself for 24 hours.
That just again, it just seems unnecessary. I was if I had to talk for 24 hours, I was thinking what I'd talk about. I don't even know.
Just a quick question: is Skype actually gone? Like, is Skype no longer a thing, or is it just not used anymore?
I'm
assuming I know Zoom took over, right? But like, what would
it's gone? Jack says rip Skype. Has it confirmed it's dead?
Yeah, I'm confused because like realistically, isn't Skype just like the start of Zoom? Like it was the initial like Zoom. So surely Skype's still a thing, right?
I don't think so. It probably just got.
How did they die so badly?
I mean, a lot of stuff's died. I feel like.
Yeah, I know, but like Skype basically was the founding father of Zoom. Like, how did it? I'm just
Zoom took it. It's like a student becomes the master, and then like the master dies, and retires. It got folded into Microsoft. Oh yeah, because Skype was Microsoft, so it probably got
switched. Okay. Yeah, Zoom. Yeah, I know Zoom's completely different, but I was like Zoom only really kicked off because of COVID, right? Like that was like.
Well, people were using it beforehand, but I think when COVID happened, it went boom, literally.
We've got a 24-hour live in here. This will be fun.
I've got questions for you.
Stay. We want to ask. I will say, like, I'm going to jump ahead really, really quickly. Is that like one of the things that we talked about in the group and stuff like that was like it was fascinating how people weren't because in my head, right. It was like, oh, these people are going to do 24-hour lives, right? And then I was like, if I'm ever going to do a live, I'm just going to employ somebody to do the live, right? You've spoken about it before with like your situation, your setup. Like if I'm ever going to go live on eBay or whatnot, or whatever I end up doing at some point, because I think I will, like it's going to be somebody else like as the face, right? Doing it all for me. And it was so fascinating. Like obviously Simon had can't remember her name. I think it was it Natalia or I don't know. I can't remember that he had a lady doing some stuff for him, and then Olma came in on the latter part and did some for him, and then even Emily Fluffy Cow, she had herself and another person doing some, and it was quite interested how everybody was going about it and like changing up the hours and switching it. It was fascinating to see how people were approaching the 24-hour lives. I don't think I know anybody who did an actual 24-hour live on their own. Like,
I mean, it would be stupid. It would literally
be. It would be jokes though. Like, imagine how you fucking that.
It's just you'd be dead at the end. Natalia and Alma, yeah, that was also such a fun. Like when I came on,
I was watching it and just Alma popped up, and I was like, "Hello."
I want to shout out to all the live sellers who actually did it. To be honest with you, because the amount of I think from literally every account that I saw on the seller side, it actually went really, really smoothly. Like everyone that had people rotating in and out and were doing shifts and had like stuff together, I felt like it went really, really smoothly on pretty much from all the people I saw anyway. And also the amount of prep that must have gone into
sourcing all of it.
24 hours of live selling is crazy in terms of work, because to be able to source like decent items for one normal show, I feel like is like effort. So feeling like sourcing enough decent items for 24 hours is a mammoth task.
Well, my maths was that if you could average roughly one item for every 2 minutes, you'd need 720 items for the 24 hours. Now that I don't know whether that's conservative because I haven't done it like for a very long time, and there are people that will they'll do 45 minutes, 100 items. They'll just bash them out in like 30-second stints, right? But if you're trying to do a 24-hour, I feel like you'd leave a little bit of time between each one to sort of like drag it out so you didn't have to go through too many. But 700 to 800 would be kind of where I was at. So I'd be interested, Simon, how many items in total you actually sold. Because I've seen a couple of other people like Emily and stuff, they'd sold like 750 or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're around the 600 to 700 mark from what I saw, which is crazy. Do we know of any like 684 sold?
Yeah. So what does that work out per minute? Is that what's that like? If 720 is for 2 minutes, that's about right? It's like 2 minutes and 15 seconds per item.
Do you want me to do the actual math?
Yeah, do the actual math. I'm intrigued.
608.
You were selling an item every.
So 600. What was it? 684. 684 divided by. Is it 1440? 0.5 every half. Point. Wait, what? I can't do maths.
It's too early in the morning.
Oh no, it's the other way around. That's why.
There you go.
684. 2.1 minutes.
There you go. Yeah. So that's really interesting. Like how quickly, how much stock you can get through. It's genuinely insane.
But so I mean, so it's really interesting to look at, right? Like I think the event was super interesting. Just I mean, even from a from the seller's point of view, again, it'd be interesting to hear. But in terms of like proof of concept for yourself for some things, obviously, like it's not good. Like I don't think you were looking at it as a hey, we're going to make shit tons of money this 24 hours. Although you probably made a very decent chunk in 24 hours from the actual selling alone. But then again, if you looked at John was one of the craziest ones for me. Cool. There was a Warhammer guy.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy.
He was at the top of the top of the pops the whole time selling Warhammer.
Have you ever delved into Warhammer and looked at the sell-through rate on pretty much anything related to Warhammer? It is genuinely insane. It genuinely doesn't surprise me at all. Like if you can get Warhammer in bulk, like you are making money. There is so much demand for it. It's genuinely insane.
Yeah, it was really interesting, to be honest with you. But yeah, so in terms of proof of concept for you, Simon, like how did you feel about your ability to do lives and understanding what you need to do and just like all of the actual live selling components of it? Like, did you work out a lot? Did you learn a lot yourself from doing that 24 hours? Except for
I'd also be interested to know if any items didn't sell, because I didn't watch a huge amount of lives because obviously I've got a lot going on with the warehouse and trying to get my shit together. But so I didn't watch a huge amount and I didn't take the opportunity to source and stuff. But it'd be interesting to know like how many didn't sold, like how many people didn't sell items, and then whether that then like changes their mind and concept of buying those items again to sell on live, or whether it's just a case of running them again on a different live and hope that somebody else buys them.
So I think 100% people didn't sell items. Like there was, again, you got to think there was loads of people live, and there was only so many streams. So in the depths of the night and stuff like that, you're gonna have the streams that don't have so many people are just not. You're not gonna sell a lot of items depending on what you've got anyway. So some would definitely, you ran past it and people wouldn't have bought, but it would. I think some you definitely would. If
you could rerun them as well if they didn't sell in the mid. Like if you were selling between midnight and 6 in the morning and they weren't selling, you could just rerun those items again in a more peak time, I guess.
So yeah, in terms of the event itself, though, right? Like, I thought it was a super interesting thing to do from eBay side of things. I think they did it badly, like actual eBay. Like because in terms of knowing about it, even in myself, I didn't know about the live streams until I'd say literally like 2 days before or 3 days before.
Yeah.
In terms that everyone was going, until everyone on their posting on their stories, I didn't even know it was happening. And obviously I'm in the reseller space. So for example, outside of that, then how are they meant to know? Obviously they did, when it came to the day, they started there was a big feature on the homepage of eBay that was like promoting one stream, like it was live in there. And so I, for anyone that was on the website, I think it would have been more obvious. But I think generally speaking, they could have done a lot more to promote it and take advantage of the fact that people were going to run 24 hours. Like,
I've got a completely different theory on how I would have run this as well.
In terms of what?
In terms of the way that they did they did it in 24 hours. Like, I feel like that was the worst way to do it, because they were basically they were not only were they limiting themselves to 24 hours, but they were basically pitting, like, potentially, I don't know how many did it, but let's just say 15 people that would commit into the 24 hours. They pitted all 15 of those together, right? What they actually should have done is gone and handpicked 7, right? 7 sellers, asked them all to do it and narrow it down to whoever said yes, right? You get 7 sellers and then you promote a whole week of 24-hour lives. And what they would do is, so let's just say Monday, they go, all right, on Monday, Gentleman Marketeer is doing 24-hour eBay live. Go and show your support. Everybody goes in there, right? And then as soon as he finishes, he raids Shell. She starts her 24 hours, and she does that for 24 hours on Tuesday. And then she raids Emily on Wednesday, and it just keeps going. So you back-to-back 24 hours for 7 days on the verified users. And not only does that give you a better spread, rather than just 24 hours, it gives you a week. It stops the competition between all of them. Well, and I just feel like it would develop a little bit more hype. And then also you can, like, raid the next person. And I feel like that would be like a little chain aspect. It would definitely help with the community. It would show more support for the actual specific sellers themselves. Because it almost felt like, now we'll probably get into it, but there was some incentives for these guys to do it, right, in general. But, like, I feel like pitting them all against each other, like, at the same time, just felt kind of unnecessary and a bit strange.
I mean, in my head, it was to so if you were going to push someone towards live, right, and you saw one live stream going for 24 hours versus 50 live streams on, like, the popularity of eBay Live from a buyer's perspective looks better the more there's options. I think there is. So I think if you're if you're looking from a buyer's perspective, yeah, it would have been cool to have 7 days of 7 days live would actually have been, like, crazy, but realistically it kind of happens anyway. But I think if you want to see something that looks successful and thriving, I'd say having as many people on as possible is probably a better way to do that than having a rotating one for like a week straight.
The issue with that for me is that, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not knocking it, because I think when I was on, like, Whatnot, and it was, like, relatively popping, I think I had like 60 people in there, but the average across the board was around the 30 to 60 mark in terms of viewers. There's obviously ones with, like, huge amounts of views, like 200 and stuff like that. The Warhammer guy was killing it for a while, whatever. But there's also people with, like, 8 to 15 or whatever as well. Yeah, so that massive spread, like, it kind of evens out the views. And then what happens then in terms of, like, I don't know. I just feel it just because you could have had somebody with like 200 viewers like all the time, and then they transfer them to the next person, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
It's the same thing because it's just that like passing it off to the next person and that's going to be at the top, and all the rest that are still live are still going to be taken away from in that sense. It's literally just a side effect of live streaming in one way. The top people a lot of the time, if they're at the top, they will accrue more people, and the people at the bottom aren't. It's harder for them to accrue and get started. Like it is what it is realistically. But it was really interesting. And what I learned is I can now sell for 4 hours in one shift easy. It's a crazy model, such fast sell through. And Kicklet said, "Is the volume worth the profit margin?" So I for me and Chris probably are in the same boat for this 100%. I think it's live selling is 100% worth it if you can do it right, like 100%. Like without a doubt, it's even if so say with me, for example, right? If I literally take stuff that I'm getting for 75p or £1, right, and I just sit there all day and have someone live streaming it and going through it and selling it, a lot of the stuff that I'm not gonna, I can build a brand around certain things, and two, it's just realistically I'm gonna make decent money as long as I can build my brand up and build like a following and build a successful stream. Then realistically the sell through it and stuff and the money you can turn over is so worth the lower margins, because that's not the point. Is the margins don't matter if you can 2 times your money every single day, right? Like to a point. Like if you can, obviously it will hit like a limit at some point. If you can 2-3 times your money, 4 times your money, and if you can figure out how to grow that margin to someone who is genuinely taking, items they're getting for £2 to £3 and selling them for around the £15 to £20 mark, that's unreal. To do that every single day is crazy. So I think that people I feel like look at live selling so wrong a lot of the time. In terms of what they believe about it, it just doesn't make any sense.
You think about it, right? Like if I said to you, you could make £4,000 a day, would you do it? And the answer is yes, like a lot of the time, right? But so the live seller that I speak to, that's now local to me in the warehouse and stuff, he can do a live and sell 10 grand, and it might have cost him 6 grand, like in terms of stock, right? But if he sells 10 grand, he makes 4. Or even with the fees, maybe he makes 3, but he's done that in 4 hours. So he's made 3 grand in 4 hours. And then the only difficulty with that sort of thing is just getting the absolute volume, which is easier on a smaller margin and obviously harder on a bigger margin. So if you want to make £10 to £15 on lives, like it's going to be really difficult to source enough stock to make it.
You say that, and then in clothes maybe.
Yeah, in clothes for sure.
You look at the shoes and you look at the tech. The tech was crazy. Ecom King was on there, right? And he was just doing Amazon returns.
Yeah.
And he just sits there and plows through Amazon returns. And yeah, he might not make. Obviously, Amazon returns can be pretty variable in terms of how much they cost him. But he had hundreds of people in there, like throughout the day, and he was making really strong money. Like a lot of the time, stuff was going for really, really good money. The other one that I thought was really cool was I saw Sheena. I don't know. She's a luxury bag seller. She was on for a bit, and she didn't do the 24 hours because obviously it's very hard to source a lot of luxury bags.
Yeah,
but she went on, and again, depending on what she's getting stuff at, she was selling stuff for thousands on live because of the luxury bags. So she just had the right stuff, and it's the right market, and the people there bidding for like Chanel bags, Chloe bags, Louis Vuitton bags. It was crazy. And in the group this week on Wednesday, we've got
in the reseller group on Wednesday we have
we got Matt from Pre-Love Tech who switched his whole model to selling live. Like he does tech and he does iPhones and all random bits of tech that he sits there, and I think he's aiming to do $1 million this year, was his goal. And the money he gets for like I'd say around
90. For some of the ones I saw, he was getting around 90% of value.
It's like I think he gets at least normally 75% of the market value, right? And that for tech margins, like in terms of, you might not be making that, when you're not making that extra 30% or whatever, 20%, that's hundreds of pounds. But he is making chunks of hundreds of pounds in a couple of hours. He is flipping bit tech, which is pain in the ass to store. And then he just flips it in, gets it in, flips it within 2-3 hours every night. I think he goes from 7 till 9 pretty much every day of the week. And he just bangs it out. So it's gonna be really, really interesting to hear his story and like talk to him properly and get into that side of it from someone who's now made it their whole thing on eBay. Because
the most fascinating part for me is that there's always an argument for all of these things, right? In terms of the good and the bad. So obviously, like when we look at our margins, obviously they're infinitely better. You're looking at 40, 50, close to 40, 50%, right? On margins a lot of the time. And they're looking at like maybe 15 to 25%, right? But because of the way that they can just pick and choose, like I was talking to the guy that does the Whatnot by Me, and he's like, if I need cash and I've got stock, within 5 hours I can have that cash. Like I can get 10 grand. Like if I want to go and get 10 grand now, like it's very difficult for me to be like, how do I do that as a core eBay seller or a vintage seller, right? Like how do I do that? Whereas he could just jump on live and go, right, guys, I'm selling all of my shit. Let's just go. And he just 10 grand in the bank. And yes, it might cost him X amount or whatever. But so I was looking at it's public knowledge. He's put it on his Instagram and stuff, but he did 75 grand in 3 months in turnover. But let's just even say that that's a 20% profit margin. He's made as much, if not more, than I have in those 3 months. And I've got a bigger warehouse than him. So it costs me an extra £400 a month. Plus, I have to put all of the hours in to get all of the stock, all of the hours in, getting it all listed, all of that, picturing it all. None of that is applied. So I know people, I think Andy and Hanley have both said it in the chat, but like when the fees come back and it is a thing, like if you have switched your entire model and you're set up, like even with Simon's like set up with inside of his garden or whatever, like he's got no monthly outgoings there. So if he switched his entire model to live, I'm telling you now, he would be in a much better place financially, physically, just everything. Because yes, it's harder to get the stock, but you can just whip through stuff. You've got no storage, no nothing. So like with me, for instance, if I was to go live, I would get rid of my warehouse and I would just get 120-foot shipping container. So that saves me £1,000 instantly. That's just on the unit. Then the electricity and stuff I save. Like yes, you have to pay fees and yes, you have to do all this, but actually you can make more money. The more shows you can do, it's all about what stock you can get.
I mean, so I think, I do think it's all about stock, right? Like this is 100%. Like again, it's hard enough to get decent stock, right? But then you need to get decent stock at a really, really good price to function in that fashion, right? So I think if you've got the margin, like Simon just said there, if you go £6 into 50p into £6, that's not small margins. That's like a 200. That's like a what? A 1200% margin on your items, and even minus fees on such small amounts of money, it's not going to be that significant, in my opinion. Obviously, like even if you're 3 times your money every day, right? So, for example, say you buy stuff at £1 and sell it for £3 every day, which isn't even the best way to do it, and is not what the successful people are doing. That's not what they're doing. A 20% hit on fees there. I don't even know if the fees will be the same for live as it for core. And it's also funny that core now just exists. I feel like that's just popped up because live and everyone started choosing core. Maybe that's because we're exposed to a decent amount of live sellers. But like, even if that's taken out, you're still in such an unbelievably good position to flip your money. My only thought on it is it's governed by how much you can sell in a certain period of time, right? So, for example, it never works outside of you live selling unless you like have more streams. Right?
As you employ more people to do more.
Yeah, you have to scale it in that way, very obviously, because you can't, unless you want to, Simon says he can do 4 hours easy. He could do 4 hours every day. But then he could be selling the only way he makes more money is to somehow get more things sold, maybe in 10 seconds, upping his profitability per item, or streaming longer But I feel like streaming indefinitely longer is never going to be a fun way to do it, realistically speaking. Or you can do a morning and an evening.
The thing is, bro, this is the thing is that people there's two ways of doing live selling, in my opinion. There is the entertaining people that will make a show of it. They'll do 50 sales and they'll be on live for 2.5 hours, right? They'll drag it out, but they're having fun. They're chatting to the chat, stuff like that, right? And there are people that are very, very successful live selling doing that. And then there's the other side of things, which is like the Chinese. Have you seen the Chinese lady that does the lives in China? And she literally goes bam, 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 and that's all she's doing. And that's the way that I would. So if I'm thinking, I'm thinking about doing live, like it's a contemplation, right? And that's the way I would do it. It would be bam, this is what it is, 10 seconds, done. Next one. And I wouldn't be talking much. I would just be doing this constantly because in my head, I feel like most people's like barrier to entry with like going to watch a live is that they would have to watch 100 items before they find one that they might be interested in. So especially if you're not preloading. So if you're not preloading, you're doing
even myself as a buyer, right? So I did try and buy a few things. And for example, I jumped into one of the it was interesting is there's a lot of wholesaler lives, like and it makes perfect sense realistically. But the thing that made me laugh is I asked, hey, what's the condition like on this stuff? And his response was grade A. And I was like, tell me about the general. Don't just grade it for me. I understand that makes sense in wholesaler talk, but I am not used to this. It's really, but I 100% found that when I was in the live, right, he did a Barber jacket. I won the Barber jacket. And then I'm ready to buy more Barber jacket. And this is maybe probably because I'm a reseller, right? Which is a very different thing.
You're a completely different customer.
But I'm like, hey, have you got any more Barber jackets? Is what I want to know. Like, and if they don't come out, I don't want to sit there all day to wait to see if they're going to come out. So I thought what Fluffy Cow did was really interesting. So she had like time slots for each brand. She was like, I'm going to do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. And then she's like, and then when she'd start and she'd have a range of sizes. And she's like, what size do you want to see? And she'd run a poll. And then whatever size got the most votes, she pulled out. That's what she started selling first. And then if that slowed down, she'd pick up the next most interested size and so on and so forth. And I think that way of doing things was really, really cool. I think for tech, it might be different. And for Warhammer, it might be different, right? I mean, maybe even Pokemon cards, right? Some people might want to know if they've got certain collections or things or whatever. But I think it's a very interesting way to do things. And definitely, because Tommy said this to us about going live, he was like, yeah, when people are in there and asking, I feel like it's about having a good breadth of things sometimes because I can pull out what that person wants. And I thought I was like, and being a watcher, I was like, that makes sense to me now because I get what he means. It's like I either have that thing or they might leave, and I do leave. Like I was like, have you got this? And he was like, yeah, but and then it didn't come. It didn't come as I was like, okay, see you later. So I completely get that. So one whose beauty filter on the face stopped working in China. I think depending, Andy said he's seen a few, the stock isn't the issue. I think it depends on what the wholesaler is wholesaling and what price he's paid stuff for, right? Again, I think a lot of people, live selling is not going to work for everyone. No way. Like you're going to have, there's people that will rise to the top that will be like making unbelievably good money. And then there's people that will sit around the middle ground that will make decent money, but like nothing crazy. And there's people who will fail. Like there's people that will try and fail, and they won't be like in terms of the items they have or the person they're hosting have, like, or just a number of things, right? They're just it's not gonna work for them. And people try and make it work in different ways. And I think there's ways that do work and don't work. But I think it's 100% a super fast. And for me, and you said you're interested in it, I think undoubtedly for me, it will become a thing at some point. Like based on the way I'm working and like the kind of stuff I get. And it's interesting because even thinking about what I can sell on live versus what I can sell on eBay or Vinted, it's different. Like it's still different, and it can still work and things are still interesting. So I'm doing it at some point.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, there you go. Tommy's in. Hanley said, but hiring someone to sell on live is much easier than teaching someone to list keywords as much. Yes. We literally, again, I think it's something we discussed.
I still think I still think that the reason why some of the lives with the actual reseller or a reseller, like Alma and stuff like that, was a great decision, because they understand the nuances a little bit more than just. So if you hired somebody in just to be a live seller, they would still have to know what they're talking about to some degree. Like if you've got like a velvet peak lapel, like satin peak lapels or whatever, you kind of need them to know that that's what they're trying to sell. Depending on if they're selling it to a reseller or a normal casual or whatever. But realistically, there still needs to be an element of knowing what the item is to some degree. But it is still infinitely easier to employ somebody to do live than it would be to do anything else in the business other than like take photos.
So that was actually really interesting. So two things. One, it was really interesting watching Simon almost teach his was it Natalia?
Yeah.
Natalia. He was like talking through it with Natalia as she kind of went along, and be like, "Oh, do you know that one?" And he's like, "Okay, this is like a." So I sniped some John Smedley or Simon, and he was like explaining that it was a good brand, and she was like trying to understand what it was about it and why it was a good brand and what it meant and stuff like that, and that was really interesting. And then the other side of that was I was watching a wholesaler's live stream, and I asked him, he'd put up the Barber, and I was like, "What's the model?" And he was looking around, and he didn't like know where the model was, which was really interesting from a wholesaler perspective. I was genuinely baffled, because this looked like a big business for the most part.
Is he the wholesaler or someone that wholesaled it out to sell it on whatnot? Two different things, right?
I think it's called the Vintage Lab or something like that. But I was like, okay, and I was like, oh, it's on the wash label. And then he looked at the top, and he was actually here. I'll just show you. And then I was like, yeah, it's in the one in the pocket. And then he was like, you got there, and I was like, nice. But I think there is definitely probably an aspect of it, and you'll learn that though. Like that's
way easier to be learned than most, for sure.
Yeah, someone did say Emily, the person who helped Emily, she'd never met before in her life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant. Alma popped up, and she was banging on Simon. So everyone was raving about how great
Alma is born to live sell. Like genuinely, like she's such a lovely, bubbly sort of like enthusiastic person, and obviously knows her stuff when it comes to like what she's doing and what she's selling. So it's 100%.
Morning all. Somehow we got number one slot in fashion category yesterday for live. Yesterday had 50+ people in one time slot. Lots of sellers not live due to packing 24-hour orders, gap in the market. But I thought this. I was like, it would be it would be genius to go live the next day, because everyone is going to be absolutely done in and busy with orders or whatever, and you can just like, if they've created a load of buzz from the day before, it can literally roll over and you can grab a load of the attention from but no one's there to compete.
What was really interesting actually is Tasha asked me yesterday, she was like, where would we, like, she obviously speaking about us specifically, but like if we did that live and we had, because I was showing Emily's screenshot that she put on Instagram where she had like 750 items to send. And she was like, where would we even take that? Like, what would we, like, do you have to go to like 4 different shops? Like, do you do it in splits? Do you have a different, that would be an interesting one for anybody who did it. Do you have like a different postage dispatch time for lives, specifically for the 24? Because if you've got 750 parcels but your dispatch time is the same, so it's like next day, like that's chaos trying to find take them more than anything.
You've also then got to sell what you sold on Core as well, so you've also got to pack up and do that as well, which is time in itself, like realistically. And I think you'd have to prioritize though, because you'd have to be.
Emily's been driving around doing bits at different drop-offs.
Well, I thought so. What I heard someone say, because I think this was asked as well in our chat, right, is that you can go and just drop it off at a depot.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. I if you post with Royal Mail, I have a depot in my town. I could take all 750 there, and they would be like, they would just go, yeah, cool, we'll just deal with it. Like, it wouldn't be a bad thing for them. But I don't have a Yodel depot within a like a 50-mile radius. I don't think so. Like, taking it there might be an issue. But I guess it just depends who you post with.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say is so what Reese, was it Reese? Yeah, Limsos Reese. He said you got to be careful with live because he sold all his inventory and killed his business with the prices were not there. So the one thing I would say about live, which I think makes it very different again, is the barriers to entry are way higher. Because even though it seems simple, like jumping a live, whatever, you need to be able to afford doing a lot of things. One, you need to be able to afford stock at a decent price, in my opinion. Like, that's number one. You need to be able to first have the capability to get stock at the right level, which is a barrier to entry in itself. And then also you need the capability to be able to deal with the possibility of not making money for the first little bit. Depending on how you do it. Some people might jump in and make money straight away. Again, if you can get stock cheap enough and start at £1, you literally can't lose. If that allows you to make money, if that's your profit, like if you buy for 50p and sell it for £1, you're onto a winner. But realistically, you need to be able to afford to take a hit to your metrics maybe to start with, to then build that up to something else and grow it into something else. So I think it's very, very different. There's an every sorting hub. You can do that. Simon extended his dispatch to by 2 days. Is that on everything or just the main? I don't know if it's on like core as well as your live selling, because obviously on live selling, you at this point people are gonna need it for 3 days. Like, how long have they been going? I guess it'd be working days, wouldn't it though? So realistically, you got some time. This has been great for sellers due to the hourly rate, but it's interesting to see how much the cost eBay per new customer and retention results on these new buyers. So again, I'm on Andy's side of things here. I think eBay have not done a good job of this, like generally speaking, because it will be interesting to see if it gets new customers in, but I don't know how that will work because they didn't let new customers know that this was a thing that was going on. So I don't know what the retention rate will be like, but I was thinking, even from eBay side of things, however much money they've blown on this will be
it'll be like pissing in the wind, mate. Like, they don't care. They've got so much money, it doesn't matter. But I do genuinely think that they went about it like they could have promoted it for a longer period of time prior to the actual lives themselves. However, like, there are a million different ways to do marketing, and this was the way they chose. Now, I wouldn't have done it the same way they did it, but I'm also not $1 billion company. So ultimately, we are not going to know whether this worked, like, probably for like a month before, like, because people will naturally see an increase in viewership, like, as they go for, like, was that 24 hours enough for retention to people going back to lives? And that's on the live sellers as well, because they've got to make it interesting enough, have good enough stock, do all of that sort of stuff. So actually, it was actually quite treacherous for eBay to be like, oh yeah, we're going to promote all you guys on this 24-hour live, but they're resting on you guys bringing the good stuff and being entertaining to promote. You're essentially promoting their live, right? Like, their platform and what they're doing. Because if I went into somebody's live and I was like, well, this is boring.
Yeah, we just go to you just go to a different one.
I know, but if I went to like 2 different lives and they weren't anything to do with what I wanted, or it was boring, I didn't find it enjoyable, that might put, as a casual user, that might put me off live. So they put a lot of faith in the people that were doing it to make it good, essentially. And I think that's always a tough thing to do. Like, they've outsourced their marketing essentially.
Tom, so interesting from Tommy. We definitely had an influx of new buyers. New people on the platform had to take a step back and teach people how to set up their payment method rather than assume they know what's up. So I think undoubtedly for people that were using the platform, it will have definitely exposed them to the idea. And that would have been, because again, it was very obvious. And if that was their whole plan, right, to have 24 hours of live and just make it a big scene on the eBay page. So any of the viewers for that day, maybe they picked Friday because it's a good traffic day for them. And then they just threw everything at it and hoped all the buyers that are eBay buyers, they actually see if we can convert these people from core buyers to live buyers, they're going to spend more money with us and we're going to make more money long term.
I will also just add to this, by the way, this is a complete like tinfoil hat thing here, but my sales on eBay prior to Friday were 50% of what they have been for like maybe about a week. They've like been 50% right of what they have been for a while. On Friday, I tripled that, like my 50% down, but like I tripled that on Friday. And then on Saturday, I went right back down to the 50% of what they were before. So I actually think that on Friday, there was just infinitely more people on eBay as a platform in general, and it drove traffic to the platform, which was good for core sellers as well. Because I don't know about anybody else, but Friday was my best day in the last like 2 weeks.
Let me check. It definitely wasn't for me, but I want to see how compared.
Yeah, so I'm super interested to know if anybody else had a similar experience on Friday. But yeah,
it was all right. It was like an average-ish day. And I said the board of shareholders care about wasted money from any budget of business. Of course, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, again, I think they should scrutinize what they did, but I think in terms of like the level. Again, it depends on it might not have been wasted at all. Because again, if their plan was to do exactly that and just have loads of people live and then promote live on eBay to convert people into live buyers that way, then it could have been extremely effective. And if Tommy and Olma have both had people in there to do that, but I agree, they should have probably had more of a marketing budget orientated towards promoting the day. And then people could have come and checked it out. And people would have known what eBay Live was about, but that would take even more money, realistically. This could just be a test to see how it went, and then they might do another one where they throw all the works at it, and then it's extremely, extremely good.
Classic eBay is that they've made it very difficult for us to know, or under like from the outside perspective, they've made it very difficult for us to know and understand whether it's been successful or not, right? So like we're going at it from the attitude of, oh, this didn't make sense, that didn't work, like why are they doing this, why are they doing that? But actually it could have been the most successful thing that's happened to eBay in terms of the numbers and how they've done things and purchases and all of these jazzy things, right? But ultimately we don't know, and we're never going to know. So we can have an assumption based on our understanding of how the event works.
We think they're trying to do,
but we don't actually know. It's classic eBay. They don't want to tell us. The public don't need to know the details. They just have to guess. And ultimately, that's what we've done. And I feel like sometimes when you're guessing or you don't agree, you can come at it from a very negative perspective and look at it in a negative way. Whereas actually, every single one of the live sellers that I've spoken to so far had a great time. They enjoyed it. It went well. It did what they wanted. It did what they wanted it to do. And also, like, we don't know from eBay side of things whether it did what they wanted it to do. Like, we don't know what they were trying to do in the first place. So we can only look at it from the outside. And I think
I actually can't imagine it wasn't cost effective. So in terms of how much they pay influencers, right, to like promote their brand, like especially if it's a big influencer, like obviously I think Josh has done from the Sidemen has done a bit of eBay Live promotion, and they must be paying him like 50 grand upwards a pop.
It's 50. I know it for a fact. It's 50 to 100 grand ish.
Yeah, 100. Like again, easily. So for them to pay all the live sellers that did like per hour, it probably was the equivalent of paying like 5 influencers, maybe, or something like that. It would be interesting to work out the maths on how much. Yeah, probably literally wouldn't even be that much. I don't think. I don't even think it would be close.
For every like 6 live sellers. Well, no, for every 10 live sellers, they could promote it once with somebody like Josh Sidemen.
Yeah, so exactly. Which is just
every 10 live sellers, which is fantastic in my opinion.
And realistically, if you've already got Tommy and Olma in here going, "Hey, we've had new people," then it's much probably for the amount it cost them to do that, it was probably incredibly effective in what they tried to do it. Yaya Toure did
Yaya Toure, what? Yaya Toure is like one of my
random.
one of my favorite footballers of all time, Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
What a guy, man.
So
That's the thing, by the way.
It's so random. Like, he's such a random person to have promote it.
Such a weird, yeah.
But yeah, I actually can't imagine in terms of their other marketing methods that, again, they could have done a better job of it, but I can't imagine it wasn't in terms of their cost per customer or cost per new customer. I actually can't imagine it wasn't effective in terms of their compared to their normal rate, would be my guess, which would be interesting.
And I do also think that like Whatnot had this at the very start, Poshmark had this at the very start, and eBay will have this at the very start. We believe that 90% of the people that are in the lives are resellers because that's what we're accustomed to and attuned to, right? And I do believe in Whatnot's case, it was very heavily reseller related, like initially. It was, yeah. It's not now, but it was, right? And eBay in this vein will kind of feel like that a lot because you'll recognize the people that are in there because that you know who they are. But actually, like I think Andy said it there, like they're in a much better position, eBay, because most people know what eBay is. Sometimes you still have to explain to people what Whatnot is. So I do think that if they can commit to it for a long period of time, within 5 years, it will overshadow Whatnot considerably. And I know people that are now converting from Whatnot to eBay. Like
it would be very interesting to watch eBay transition. Obviously, because eBay was a live auction platform, right? Yeah. Like where they started by auction and stuff. Then they transferred over to a fixed price. And if they now transferred back around to being like a live selling auction platform, that's like just a complete little story, you know.
Critical, yeah.
Because obviously they did this, they switched over to this, to the buy it now model or whatever for the most part, and maybe they've lost a bit of popularity with Vinted, especially in the clothing category. For them to then take back a crown by becoming like reinventing themselves with live selling would be super interesting. But I don't know.
My actual interest. I think this is an interesting question to ask, but like my actual thought is. One of the reasons why a few people are moving from Whatnot to eBay now is because the Whatnot contract isn't as good, right? And therefore eBay are offering a better contract, right?
So funny, it's literally exactly like the Twitch, like YouTube stuff.
My actual question then is, if there has to be a contract in place for you to want to do it, is live selling actually a good, viable like thing? Because the reason why. So some people on Whatnot, for instance, were getting 50% off their fees, right? Which obviously massively helps with the business. And then obviously there was some giveaway costs that were like, reimbursed or whatever, right? So like some of these contracts that are in place, they are helping the live seller with that business. Like it's part of the business, if that makes sense, right? But if you had none of that, you're already seeing people from Whatnot because the contract's being reduced now move to eBay.
Okay. But that I don't think means it's not viable. It's just like, why would you not chase?
No, absolutely, yeah. But like, I feel like sometimes you're like, if you've got to chase a contract, then like maybe that platform doesn't work as well, or the system doesn't work as well as you hoped. Or it just means you have to change your margin or your like, I don't know, like maybe it actually allows you to do it in a certain way, but then like if that contract diminishes, then you have to kind of change up the way you do it to make it more viable again.
Yeah, and also the other thing, you don't want to let go of it, do you? Like realistically, if you've had it good, you don't want to go back to it. Fluffy cow.
Oh,
another one. Again, we've been talking about you. So yeah, I mean, you don't want to let go of it, right? If you've got it, sweet, and then someone's going to say, "Hey, now you're going to have to pay more." It's like it's like taking on that, isn't it? It's just like, well, now I just lose a chunk of my business. Great. I will chase it until I can't anymore. Like I'm going to jump back and forth between platforms, unless the other side of that, right, is that unless it impacts your business. In terms of, so maybe on Whatnot, you've got a big audience, you're making a lot of money, you switch to eBay, that audience doesn't follow, you almost have to restart.
Yeah.
Like that switch to avoid the extra 50% fees or whatever could massively hinder you. and put you back to the back of the pack in terms of the growth side of things. I don't think it should, but it probably would. It probably would impact a lot, actually. I imagine. How I lost money. See, that was really interesting. The Joni stuff was you had some really good Joni stuff. Obviously, I think there might be a lot of it about at the moment, but I'm surprised. Like again, in time, I think when you have that Joni stuff, then it would be so good. And once you've garnered that audience, it'll be really, really interesting to for you to come back around to doing stuff like that, and it could be absolutely fantastic. So it's like I think Andy again here is like, we know 24 hours has been good for the sellers, but would it take it out if you take away the hourly rate and the fees or whatever? Would it have been good? I don't think that's the point. Like, I don't think the point is for all these sellers to jump on this live stream and be like, this is going to be the best thing I've ever done. But like by themselves, like, because they're still in the same position they were anyway, right? They still need to work their way up and build into it, which is not going to happen just from jumping on a 24-hour live and suddenly your stream's successful or any different to how it was before. You're still going to work your way up. eBay's still working its way up. It's not going to be suddenly fantastic. But it's I think regardless of anything, right? It was a marketing ploy that could have done really well. I would be surprised.
I actually think so this is my take on that, is that I actually think if they offered if they said to the 24, like, we're doing a 24-hour live event, right? We want you to be a part of it. And they weren't offering the contract that was paying the hourly rate, and that they were only doing the no fees, I would have still done it as a live seller, because it's a fantastic place to put yourself in. Like, if you're in a 24-hour event and you're live for 24 hours, that is the optimum in terms of like getting people to know who you are and enjoying your live, right? So that's like a personal marketing thing, right? You can go in there and be you and do what you do. And then because there's more eyes on that like event, you could potentially get more repeat customers. So it would have been a place to go anyway, regardless of the hourly rate. In my opinion, I probably would have done it, because there's a reason why when you watch the Twitch live streamers, like, they'll do, again, they're doing a great thing, and I'm all for it, and I've done it myself. But like, they'll do 24-hour live streams based around anything that comes in would go to charity, right? Now, that is a fantastic thing to do from a perspective of raising money for charity. I did it. We did well. It was great, right? However, that is also a way of people raiding you and like showing love to you because you're doing a charity stream. And then that puts more eyeballs on you. So ultimately, although it's a really good thing to do, raise money for charity, it's also a selfish thing to do, because you're also reaping the rewards of people coming in. You're going to get more viewers and you're going to know. So like in this scenario, you would put yourself in where the viewers are, and then it's your job then as a live seller to try and encapsulate the audience to want to come back. So you're just putting yourself in a position where more people can see you, and that's all you've got to do in these live. That's how you've got to market yourself.
I think that's why I think like the next day was such a play, or the day after.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. But this is the thing, because I'm the twisted fool that would have done the 24 hours and then gone live again the next day to make sure that I captured that as well.
I would be. You'd have so much to do. Like you would have.
You just. I've got the backbone of the business. Tasha, you're doing all of this. I'm going live again, and we'll do it all again tomorrow.
Good luck, Tash, with your 600 parcels. I'm going to be giving you more to do.
This is what I'm saying. She would smash it. I would smash it.
You'd also need the stuff to be able to go live again, which would be crazy as well. In terms of like, I tried to go live to Hunting, but the shipping was insane. You tried to go live again yesterday.
I'm not going to lie, Emily. I was absolutely disappointed in you on Saturday morning, because I was at Droitwich Rugby Club, and I said to Tasha, I was like, I wonder if Emily turns up. Bearing in mind it was like the morning after the live, so I was like, there's no way she's coming. But I didn't see you, so I'm therefore assuming you didn't go. Not good.
Droitwich is where my auntie lives.
You know everybody that lives anywhere near where I do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. My family lives around there. So in the future, though, again, I think it's 100% something I will dabble in. For
100%, yeah. It's some. Again, I did the whatnot thing, but I felt like I did okay, but I don't think I'm the person to be live like in that scenario, because it is very evident and this is something that I've noticed a lot, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I've been on Whatnot a lot, and I've been on eBay a lot in terms of the live thing. And there are people that you can tell that do not want to be there, but they're doing it because they think it's the thing to do right now. And that is very apparent when you're doing it. And when you hear them go, "Oh my God, that only sold for £3. You got to bid up on this, guys. Come on. Like, I'm losing money." Like, you see that attitude come across. And I'm almost like, whatever, and just laugh because it's bad. Right. So, like, and that's how I would feel when I was selling things. So therefore I cannot be the face of it because it would show way too. If I sold the, I said this before, but like when I did Whatnot, I sold a double-breasted peak lapel, gold button, YSL vintage blazer, and it's like £100 jacket, and somebody paid £7 for it and Whatnot. And I visibly winced on live, and I nearly cried. Like, you cannot do that as a live seller. You have to be super positive, super happy, respectful, grateful, all of these things. I cannot be the face of it. I have to be, somebody else has to be.
I think that's an interesting thought, being disconnected from what the item sells for.
Because if you hire somebody, don't tell them the value. Like, don't tell them the cost of it. Like, if I know I paid £8 for it and it sells for free, I'm going to want to blow my brains out every time. But if somebody has no idea of the cost value, you just let them do the job. That probably will, what's the word? Come across, like, portray itself in a much better way.
Yeah. Keep the vibe good. Yeah. What's better, 24 hours in one day or 60 hours across 1 month? Well, it's funny, they made you do both. Not only are they working you for the every day, but they're also then ask you to throw 24 hour in there, which is just crazy work on their front, to be honest with you. I said over a month as you get to the spread of variables to review and take in. Yeah, again, this is the 24 hours is a one-off thing to do. It's not like you're not going to understand a load about your business, except for, again, doing the actual work and knowing how to function in a live stream. Putting that much pressure on yourself and then figuring out how to make it work will teach you a lot. Like, Simon did 24 hours. He's like, I can do 24 hours easy now, no problem. It's like, but in terms of learning a lot about if live is right for you, you don't jump on the 24 hours and be like, well, that didn't work, so that's in the bin. Or that went really well. This is my business, going to be this forever now. It would be interesting to do. You know how streamers do subathons, right? And they keep going as long as people like keep subscribing. It'd be really interesting to just keep going as long as people keep buying. So you just have people cycling in and out of a live stream, and you just keep going.
So this is what I wanted to get onto. We're quite close to the end. Is that eBay's infrastructure for live is so poor. It's genuinely insane, because there was so much lag. Like, I was watching a couple of these lives, and people were getting black screens. It was freezing all the time. Like, I'm on like Virgin's 1 terabyte or 1 gigabyte download, whatever it is, right? Like, I'm on the best internet I can possibly have. I'm all wired in. There's no reason why it would lag at all. And then it was lagging for some people. It wasn't lagging for the other people.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So, and then there was black screen. Like, I was watching Simon's at one point, and the screen went black, and I couldn't do anything. So I had to come out and then come back in. And then, which was the fascinating bit for me, is that I don't understand the reason, and I don't know the reason. We've got a couple of people in here that may. But people were having to end their live after 8 hours.
Yeah, it's 3 8-hour stints, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't understand. I don't know if that was like a legal like thing, or whether that was just the infrastructure of the platform not being able to do what it says it's.
Oh, I wonder if it was a legal thing.
So then, like, in my head, I'm like, if it's not a legal thing and it's just the infrastructure of the live not being able to go past X amount of time, like, that's just poor planning. Like, it's terrible, like, infrastructure, period.
I wonder how many people they expected to go live all 24 hours.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Go on, sorry.
I don't know if they would have expected, like, when they say, hey, we're going to do 24 hours of live, and we'll like pay you to do for however many hours you do. I wonder how many people they expected to be like, yes, I'll do all of them, which is quite interesting. You can only sell 800 items per live show. The 8-hour thing was due to how many listings you can add to one show.
So they cap your show. So even that, though, is poor, right? Why are they capping how many you can sell as well? So that's something else that's a bit interesting. But what I was going to say, by the way, just so you know, like, obviously we know it's well documented how I source on Vinted, right? And there are people in that chat right now asking the guy who made the thing that I use for Vinted whether there is a way of them. If there no, this is the thing. If there is a way for them to win, because the giveaway thing is whoever can swipe right the fastest.
Yeah,
right? Which is insane. Somebody so they were giving away an iPhone 17 Pro Max, and all you had to do was swipe right. Right?
It was crazy. That's so funny, by the way. That's like fastest. Who's got the fastest thing in the West?
There is already people asking the question to the guy who's built bots whether they can bot that. So, like, even that system doesn't work, because if it's fastest first, there will be a bot out there that tries to attempt to be the first person, like an automation that instantly does it. And that in itself is like, because there's no like giveaway thing, there's no raid thing, like there's so many different things that Whatnot does that is just infinitely better from an infrastructure perspective. It just doesn't make any sense.
Again, Xander said this earlier, right? If they just steal a couple of Whatnot features,
that's it. That's all they have to do.
It's like Instagram, right? They just came in and just eat everyone else's good things and put it on their own platform, and then they're just in a better position than ever. I genuinely think Instagram is actually a very good example of stuff like this in terms of social media, because they just eat up the new thing. So, for example, like stories, right? Like Instagram was originally just a platform, whatever. It had a good user base. And then Snapchat came up, and Snapchat was banging out stories. Everyone was using Snapchat to do like daily stuff like this. And Instagram was just like, yoink. And they put it on their platform, and it killed off Snapchat a bit. Obviously, there's a lot of people that still use it that like as a demographic, but like the draw to Snapchat became so much less because Instagram incorporated it, and people just started posting on their stories there.
Do you think it's too late for eBay to purchase Whatnot?
I don't know. Because of the US, yes.
Because that's what I was thinking, because the US is so vast. Like, because part of me was like, they bought Depop and they're just going to keep it as Depop, right? But they're just going to own it. Like, if they could buy Whatnot and then just keep it as Whatnot and own it, but then sort of like mirror them a little bit, like in terms of features and stuff, I think that would be a good, interesting thing. But I think it's too big now at this point to do.
Yeah, it's similar to Vinted.
At least.
Like Vinted, eBay couldn't buy Vinted in Europe because Vinted's doing so well. Same as Whatnot in the US, right? Like Whatnot's doing unbelievably well over there. Again, hopefully that does transfer over here, and it is. I'd say hopefully it does. Like again, there's Whatnot, so they're doing crazy numbers.
Yeah.
But overall, in terms of like how I viewed the eBay Live, I think it was really just interesting to behold as a whole. Like, I think it was very interesting to do. I thought the sellers handled it amazingly well.
Very, very well,
yeah. And I think it might have been really interesting for some of you guys to have someone come work for you and feel like that was what that was like. And like, because obviously, Emily, we said you had someone come in that you never met before, apparently. And
I didn't know that, by the way. I was watching the live and I was like, who's this person? And the fact you'd never even met them before was insane, which is great.
So working with someone and trusting someone in that way must have been interesting. And obviously Simon bought in Natalia and was like trying to like teach her at the same time. And it must have been so interesting and Alma was there, but Alma does know what she's doing for the most part. But it's super interesting to have someone come in and trust them to kind of do your thing whilst you're away. So I think that experience
opened up the mindset now to be like, oh, like I can do a live without me being there. So I can focus on the sourcing side of things and let somebody like pay somebody else to do the live for me. And stuff like that. Obviously, there's got to be there's the monetary, right? You've got to be able to make enough money to make it work, because obviously, if the lives inherently get you less money, then you got to make sure you're balancing the margins with the wages and stuff. Yep, came at 8 a.m. Never met her. That's insane. That's fantastic. Like, that's just the level of trust, by the way, to just go, hi, who are you? Great, you're going to sell my stuff for me. Thank you. Insane.
But yeah, again, I'm so interested in the future of it as to how it's all going to go, and I'm excited. Again, I just think it makes so much sense for my business at some point, and I've got some really interesting ideas that I would kind of want to do with it, as to how things could work. But yeah, well done to everyone that had a go at it. I'm super interested to see how it all develops. It'll be really interesting to talk to Matt on Wednesday, who for him it's already developed right into something big. And yeah, good shit. eBay's a bit slightly dumb, but nothing new there.
I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's just an absolute massive win for the sellers, like across the board. Like the people that won the most on Friday was the actual sellers themselves. They got paid, they got promoted. It's a win-win.
Hopefully, it grew the audience of people that they can sell to in the future. So that's exactly. Right? But lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate having you here. Thanks for dropping in for the live chat. Also, by the way, I don't know what we've got a view counter in the top left, and it said we've had like 1 or 2 people in here the whole time, which I don't think is true based on the chat. But that was been really interesting. I don't know if it said that on the.
I've seen one person. So either we've got a load of ghosts, or I don't know what's going on. But interesting.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace out.